Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Molten Truth. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being with us through the year 2025. We're looking forward, hopefully, to a very happy, healthy, and clutter-free 2026. And with that in mind, I am very pleased to introduce our guest tonight, Kate Evans, who is an expert on decluttering and has a very insightful approach to how we should go about doing that. So, Kate, welcome to our show. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. So, how did you come to? You have a book about this, but has this been something you've done a long time, or is this something more recent? How did you come to be an expert in decluttering?
I talk a lot about this in my book that I always thought I was a slob and that I was going to be a slob for the rest of my life. That was it. I had no other options. And then after I had done a ton of work on myself, I had done the therapy and the coaching, and I had worked on my physical being. I'd been doing Pilates and yoga and all the things and worked on my nutrition. And I was about to start yoga teacher training. So I've been working on my spiritual self, but I spent a whole bunch of time on YouTube because that makes sense, right? And I started watching a whole lot of videos on cleaning and decluttering and all these things. I became fascinated with it. And I one day just decided I have to start tearing apart one of my drawers. It was a drawer of tank tops because I wanted to do that Marie Kondo file folding. If you've ever seen this, it's where your clothes get folded up into little square packages so that they stand up like in little lines, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic. And if you've ever seen this and thought I could never do this, I would never maintain it, try it and just see if you do, because I did it and I've maintained it. And I
Wow.
started, yeah, I know. And it's the coolest thing because you can see all of your clothes. Because if you have a dresser drawers, if you ever go to your dresser drawers, open a drawer and look in there and tell me if you can see all of your clothes. Because I'm going to say that you can't. But if everything is file folded, you can see what you have. You can see all of your t-shirts, all of your tank tops, all of your jeans, all of your shorts, all of your leggings, whatever it is. I even have my underwear and my bras, like and my sports bras and everything. They're all file folded. I can see everything. Um, so I did this, and then then I even have this in my book of the day that I kind of freaked out and at dinner about how messy the kitchen was. And that was when I decided I was going to declutter our entire house. And in 2.5 months, I hit almost everything in the house. And we've got a fairly small house, so 2.5 months was reasonable. And I was standing in our kitchen then toward the end of this, and we had had dinner, and I had cleaned the kitchen, which was something I never did before that. Never. and and it was so easy and it felt so good, and our kitchen felt so clean and open, and we've got a small kitchen, but it was so great. And I went, oh my god, it, taking care of your home is self-care. And so that's when it hit me. So no, I was not always like this. I did not always understand that decluttering and cleaning and routines and that this was a way of life that I could do. And I'm a psychologist, a therapist, and I I went from having this experience myself to foisting it upon all of my therapy clients.
Well, it speaks to how profound that was for you, that it affected you so much that you wanted others to benefit.
It was, and to their credit, they all took it in good stride. All of those for whom it was appropriate. I mean, I do actually listen to what my clients are saying to me. Um, and I will tell you, I mean, some of them have made some amazing transformations personally, as well as within their homes, since we did, since we started doing some of the decluttering work, in addition to the other work and for anxiety, depression, life transitions, trauma, everything like that. So it all fits together. It's so beautiful. And that's actually part of also where my book came from. My book is about the the mental and emotional barriers to decluttering, and in it I talk about perfectionism and shame and goal setting and fears and limiting beliefs and all this sort of stuff. Really, I swear it's a fun book. Everything I just described did not sound fun, but it is a fun book. But it's the mental and emotional stuff that people don't really think of as being a part of clutter, but it really is. And so, guys, that's why you haven't gotten to that decluttering project that you've been meaning to get to.
It's easy, for that to be, you know, I was thinking about this when I was, perusing your website and looking back at just some of the events in my life. And while I've never been the most pristine housekeeper ever, my sister gets that award. Um, I've still felt like I was pretty moderately good housekeeper. But our mother, who kept house very well in her earlier life, but then later in life, as her health and other things declined, her
Right.
house got really badly cluttered, horrible. So I was at a point in my life where I went from a nice, clean home where I had no choice except to live with my mother. And for me, that was a very stressful thing to be in this cluttered environment. And she would not allow you to do anything beyond, like, you could wash your dish, use your dish, and you could wash it again if you wanted to. But that was about all she would let you do. Because I think the perfectionist in her didn't think anyone else was capable of doing the housework to the level she wanted it done, and it was an all
Yep.
or nothing proposition
Yeah,
in her case.
absolutely. Hmm.
But the thing is, when you live in an environment that long, I feel like it rubs off on you. And so, where you can be someone who's used to neat and clean, it's like your brain reprograms. And so, what's neat and clean changes based on that environment prolonged in that situation. Maybe I'm wrong, but that feels like what I experienced. And I've been having to retrain myself
Yeah.
since that then.
No, I think you said it so well. Of like that reprogramming. It's like it recreates what's normal for you. It's like that, like normalizing um, clutter, normalizing chaos, normalizing, just whatever it is, because whatever we live in for an extended period of time becomes our normal. It becomes familiar, and familiar is comfortable for us. And then and then even if you're, so then you go into a new environment and you say, well, I want to do things differently. Well, you've been in the same routine, you've been in the same rut, you've been doing things the same way for a while, and you've kind of got this thing that's normal for you. And oh, okay, now you gotta, how do you bounce yourself out of that rut into new routines, into new actions, into new habits? Can be kind of tough sometimes, right?
Exactly. Well, and especially if, and this is what's so weird about it, because being in a clean environment was like the natural thing and the comfortable thing. And then I think out of self defense, when you can't change your environment, you have to be able to be comfortable at home. And you have to, like, out of self defense, just like reprogram yourself to, okay, well, I'm in this mess and I can't do anything about it, so this is now my normal. I have to be comfortable here, and then to try to get back to the regular normal, the normal that that you want to be. It's like being
It's
adrift at
work.
sea and trying to get back to shore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know if this has been your experience, but I can imagine that you would think, oh, it's not going to take any work to get back to what I once was doing. It'll be
Right.
so easy. And then you find that it actually is difficult. And then that can be very confusing and actually kind of stir up a whole bunch of other feelings. And now you're contending with like this whole mess of feelings. And then it gets just kind of weird inside of you. And then it's a very different kind of work than you thought you were going to have to do to get to, and I would say not back to what you were once at, but to something that you want to be to. And it's a move forward thing. I always encourage people to avoid trying to go back to something, because that's we just don't do that. We move forward to the
True.
thing that we want, because
Linear.
the trying to recapture something, man, that just doesn't work. It doesn't happen. We move forward to the thing, the picture that we want, and we create that, and then we figure out, okay, I got a goal. What are the steps that it's going to take to get to that goal, mentally and emotionally, as well as like the 1, 2, 3 physical steps. And you put a plan together, whew, and you can do it.
Absolutely. And it's such an amazing feeling when you do hit certain little milestones. And not being a therapist, not having any qualifications, but I've spoken with a variety of coaches as well as therapists just through the forum of this show. And I've had not this specific conversation, but different pieces of this conversation with them. And it's been interesting, the different perspectives, because some talk about, like, I think when I had reached a certain milestone, I was so happy with myself that I had reached a certain point in my house and in my environment. And they were like, well, yes, sometimes it's the inside out, sometimes it's the outside in, but you kind of go back and forth to meet this goal. Is that your perspective, or are you more about fully on the inside and the outside just being kind of representation of that?
Oh, man, we're always going inside out, outside in, side to side. I don't know, diagonally. I whatever. It's We are in motion at all times, and it's the inside reflects the outside reflects the inside you, and then it's fluid. It's a We are not stagnant. We are constantly moving. We're constantly in motion. We're moving through life. We're aging. We're changing. We're learning things. We're having new experiences. We're meeting new people. We're going through new things. We're having what we might refer to as setbacks. I don't love that perspective, but we might perceive them that way. We are having things that launch us forward. We might have things that scare the bejesus out of ourselves, and things that excite us, things that make us terribly sad. We experience losses, we experience gains. Okay, so I'm going to stop giving all kinds of exciting and interesting, uh, different things that happen in life. But there are, just paused for a second because of the connection. But there's always fluid highly rich.
seems I've lost my guest, unless she refreshed her screen as well. Sometimes there are technical difficulties with the recording equipment. So we'll give her a minute or two to see if she rejoins us. Sure hope that she will. So what we were talking about was, she was talking about forward momentum and how it isn't simply a matter of we do one thing, but we continue working at different angles. And I couldn't help thinking about some of the games we played in my youth. Chutes and ladders came to mind as she was describing this angle, that angle, and so on. I sure hope she joins back the session. We didn't lose her altogether. If so, then we'll do the best we can with what we have to work with here. We're going to just see if she sent us a message or not. No message from her. While we wait for her, let me tell you a little bit about her website. So, her being Kate, her website is soulfulspacecoaching.com, and she has a lot of really great information on here. She does have services. There's decluttering coaching. She has some resources, including some things you can print out to help you with your goals with decluttering. Um, Also, some self care. She talked about that a little bit where that's concerned. Um, so, she also has a book that's out there. It's titled Ditch Your SH asterisk T. We all know what that spells or what that's intended to spell. Decluttering Your Mindset to Declutter Your Home. And she tells us that it's the book you need to read before all those other decluttering and organizing books that are collecting dust on your shelves. So that's really the goal here. You know, she wants you to first of all, tackle all the mental, you know, clutter that's causing you to doubt yourself and causing you to not take the actions that you want to take. So she'll help you to create realistic goals to set you up for success and put in the past the feelings of shame and imperfection. And then it's about tackling the physical side of things and really digging into specific areas of your house, like the kitchen, the shared common areas, and the bathroom, and then how to get things done and feel good about yourself while you're doing it. So that's really her book is about. I'm very sorry that she's not been able to join us back for the rest of our episode. This may be the shortest episode I've had this season, but maybe we'll get to have a part two where we get to pick it up. Um, so Kate Evans, her book is available on Amazon. Her website again is soulfulspacecoaching.com. And yeah, that's basically, I guess, our program. So thank you for joining us for this very short program with her. And maybe we'll have her back for a part two, or we'll redo the whole episode again another time.